Hello African gold growers, how are you today? Welcome back to a new video. Today I will bring you a resume from an interview was done by the Deutsche Welle, the German televisions to the President Ruto of Kenya. In this interview is really interesting because we are going to watch the new narrative from the Western countries with African countries specifically and how this affects us as entrepreneurs. So let's start watching the interview, and at the end of the video, as always, I will bring you my personal perspective, my personal point of view. You don't have to be agree with me, but I think you will find a lot of coincidence. Now, if this is the time you visit us, welcome to African Gold Growers Academy. In this channel, we are going to share with you powerful knowledge so you can start strategic business in Africa with low risk, with low investment. Our mission is to help as many entrepreneurs as possible to start strategic business in Africa and change the narrative. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, tell us in the comments what other kind of video do you want to see in this channel, if you like the video you are watching or if you don't like, and tell us why. So let's start in watching the interview or the resume of the interview to President Ruto, and I see you at the end of the video. Let's start.
William Ruto, thank you very much for speaking to DW today. The African continent is becoming something of a sort of a diplomatic sort of battleground at the moment over attitudes to the great turbulence here in Europe at the moment, the Ukraine war. Now, Kenya has taken a very strong and very distinctive position on the Ukraine war, you know, right in the early days in the UN Security Council, speaking out very clearly against Russia's invasion. Can you explain Kenya's position? Why has it been speaking out so strongly?
Because we are great believers and signatories to the UN Charter, which speaks directly to a rules-based globe, you know, and ensuring that there is respect for countries and their boundaries. Any violation of the UN Charter by anybody in whatever manner is a threat to violation of the same elsewhere, everywhere in the world. Maybe it is Germany, today it is Russia and Ukraine. You never know who it is tomorrow if we allow this to go on. So our position has been, this can be resolved. We must be a rules-based globe. We must respect the UN Charter. That's the position of Kenya, and not just the position of Kenya, that's the position of the UN and any country that subscribes to the UN Charter. And as you say correctly, the world is realizing that Africa is an important destination, important because of what the future portends, you know. This is the continent that has 30% of the world's natural resources. This is the continent that has the largest resources around renewable energy. We are talking about 70% of the population in Africa is below the age of 30. Creative, innovative, energetic, and so it's necessary for any part of the world to realize the importance of Africa and to tap into what Africa can bring to the table. This is not the continent of disease and poverty anymore. This is the continent that has a future. Yeah. And everybody, any reasonable leader anywhere in the world would want to know what Africa thinks and would want a partnership with the African continent. Our position as a country is that they say a threat to peace anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere. Our position is that this is not about the North versus the South. It's between what is right and what is wrong. There are those who genuinely believe this war should be sorted out, like us, because trying to apportion blame is not the way to go. There are those who are saying this war is as a result of sanctions. And to their credit, yes, the sanctions are having a devastating effect on commodity prices, grain prices, fertilizer prices. On the flip side, there are those who are saying this is as a result of the war. Again, it is true. So, is it the war or is it sanctions? And from where I sit, it doesn't matter whether it is the war or the sanctions. We just need to stop it. Let's find the mechanism to put it to an end so that we can stop the victims of this war increasing. There are victims, real people who cannot access food, who have challenges, real countries like Kenya, who we've had challenges with accessing fertilizer. We have challenges with accessing grain. We've had to rethink about our agriculture. How do we do things differently so that we avoid dependency on the global supply chain of these commodities? I think China should do more than it's currently doing, from where I sit, because I think China is a big player in the economic space. So I believe from even a strategic point of view, China should be pushing for the end of this war, because we've all come from a devastating effect of the COVID pandemic, and beyond the borders of China, China has huge interests in many parts of the world, including Africa. We saw, I think last week, there was a meeting between the president of China and the president of Russia. We weren't told exactly what the discussion was, except for, them saying they will work together. But I want to believe that at the center of the conversation was, where is this war going? Because it's not good for Russia. I don't think so. It's not good for China. It's good for nobody. So hopefully we should be able to see more of what China can do to leverage on its, friendship with the Kremlin and with Russia on how to bring this war to an end.
The even bigger picture, I mean, there's been criticism of the West vis-a-vis its kind of appeals to the global South over this war, that it is requesting kind of support from the global South after not putting enough money into fighting climate change, not showing sufficient solidarity over providing vaccines during the pandemic, for instance. Does the West need to look at itself and think more about solidarity being a two-way street?
I would even take it further. We've had a raging war in DRC. We've had a raging war in Somalia. We have challenges in Ethiopia. We have issues in South Sudan. And we are all alone. Kenya, for example, we've had to put our resources, Kenyan resources, in deploying troops in DRC. We are currently hosting discussions to support the peace process in Ethiopia, using our own public resources. When it is our issues, it is our issues. When it is other people's issues, it's global issues.
This is the Mr. Jaishankar, the Indian foreign minister's quotation. Is that who you're quoting here? Yeah.
So I think we need to have a fair conversation. When you talk about climate change, we've said this many times, that we are bearing the biggest brunt of climate change, with loss of diversity, huge droughts. Kenya is experiencing 4 years of continuous drought, severe drought. We've lost 2.5 million heads of livestock. We have lost livelihoods. Yet the conversation around climate change is still sterile. We are having difficulty persuading the globe, especially the global north, on loss and damage. These are not phantom stories. Loss and damage is a reality. And while we respect that we need to play our role in what the war and to speak about the war in the middle of Europe between what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Surely, we need to have a much more candid conversation about the effects of climate change, about debt that is crippling, almost, let me say, deliberate, international financial system that is rigged against the global south, where we pay 50 times more interest to access development resources than our compatriots, because we are priced out of resources by risk. Everybody believes investing, putting your resources in the global south is risky. So we end up paying inordinate. And that's the conversation we need to have. And hopefully we will be able to push this conversation to the center of global debate on how do we move into the future. The African continent is coming with a solution, stopping financing fossil fuel exploration and exploitation. It's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because it has to stop. Otherwise, this globe is going to burn with all of us in there. So climate change has no boundaries. There is no climate change for the global south. There is no climate change for the global north. And those of us from the global south are saying, we are coming to the table with our assets. We have the largest resources of renewable energy. We have the largest natural resources. We have the largest, maybe 65% of the world's arable uncultivated land. We have the largest population, young, energetic, innovative. These are resources that we are coming to the table and saying, we need to have a conversation about how do we access development financing? How do we access fair, consideration? How do we de-risk investments in these resources so that we can use renewable green energy to drive the development of the world going into the future? Not the development of Africa alone, not the development of the global south. Let me say this with absolute clarity. We are at a crossroads. Either we choose to continue the exploitation of fossil fuels and we accelerate ourselves to climate hell, or we finance the renewable green energy in the global south and save the world. Others. There are new opportunities for both German investors, German business people, and Kenyan opportunities also for Kenyans, Kenyan entrepreneurs, Kenyan business people to explore and to work together. We see an opportunity because we have some of the largest resources of renewable energy. Germany, on the other side, have the best technology. Combining these two opportunities from the renewable assets that we have and the German technology that exists here, with investment, we can create a win-win outcome. Not just on that, on education as well. There is need for synergy between curriculum in Kenyan technical training colleges with their German counterparts, because labor is becoming a very fluid resource. This country requires 250,000 people to work. Kenya can actually offer, because we can synergize the training, the skills, the competencies that can be made available to this country. We are looking at opportunities for sustainable agriculture. You may want to know that Kenya is actually a tech hub in the continent. We have some of the best creative, innovative human capital anywhere in the world. Again, there is opportunity there as we present Kenya as a destination and a hub for access to ACFTA, that's the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which comes with 1.4 billion people, an economy of $3.4 trillion, and the youngest population in the globe. A quarter of the world's population will be living in the African continent by 2050. So there is sufficient reason for Germany and Kenya to work together because the opportunities available are tremendous. But let me tell you that from where I sit, yes, we have a crisis of commodity high prices, whether it's fertilizer, whether it is fuel, whether it's grain. You've asked me directly, what am I doing? Number one, we have registered 5 million farmers. We are providing fertilizers and seeds for them to grow. Number two, we are importing food from across the globe, where some of the imports arrived last week. We've cleared some of them to begin to tamper the price of commodities. We are also investing long-term on irrigation, and that's part of the conversation I will be having with German officials on how we can work together to change our agriculture from being rain-fed to being agriculture under irrigation.
I mean, your critics have said that you have so far not been able to deliver on your promises to lower prices, and you have been increasing taxation. This connects with discussions with the IMF. Do you feel that you're being squeezed by the IMF into raising these taxes, or do you stand by the tax increases?
There are no increases of any taxes that we have proposed that are punitive. The IMF has no role in how we run the affairs of our country. We are in charge of the economy. Many people would say what you're saying, but let me give you 3-4 things. Number one, we have stabilized the economy. The economy was on a slide into debt. Everybody appreciates that we have stabilized the economy. We couldn't access the international financial markets when I took over. Today, we can access any international market because they have seen the kind of stability we have brought.
And I'd just like to finish.
Well, African gold growers, what do you think from the video you watched, the resume of the interview you watched? What I want to focus directly here is the confidence from President Ruto, and I want to congrats not only President Ruto, but in general the Kenyans, to choose wisely to their president, okay? President Ruto says, or the government of Kenya says, if we want to be treated as a big country, okay, if we are demanding a permanent chair in the International Security Council, if we want to have same conversation with our partnerships like Russia, China, United States, United Kingdom, Germany in this case, if we want to have a big leadership in Africa, if we want to have the benefits and the growing as a big economy as we are, we need to have this attitude for everything. So what they are doing is making them respect as an equal. A few days ago, President Ruto said they will not accept any more US dollars as payment for the goods they are exporting, specifically for oil. And this is amazing because what he is doing with this measurement is to make the Kenyan shillings rise in price and take out a big problem from the US dollars, because the US dollars have a lot of inflation because the Federal Reserve of the United States is printing and printing and printing more money. So they are causing more inflation in general in the world. The second thing is because the Kenyan government lost a lot of money in the exchange from US dollars to Kenyan shillings. And because they are making this exchange, they are losing money, but devaluating the money also. So they say, if a partnership want to buy oil from me, they will need to pay in my currency, okay? So because the partnership is going to buy currency to pay to Kenya, the currency of Kenya, the Kenyan shillings, is rising. I think it's a measurement we'll take in many other countries of Africa. It's a nice solution, actually, and we are watching, as we said in the last video, change on the narrative of Africa, in general of developing countries, not only in Africa, but we are going to focus on that. Now, what is doing President Ruto is trying to explain to the journalist, in this case, Africa is big. Africa is not hungry and poverty and war. Africa have a new narrative. Africa has a new reality, okay? We have huge potential in resources, in natural resources. We have a huge potential in creativity. We have a huge potential military, and we have a huge potential in the economical field, okay? So they are trying to make respect the same, and I think something amazing that this is going to happen. That what this is going to bring to Africa, and specifically for Kenya, is bring more confidence in the investment outside borders in Kenya, because people will say, this is a serious country, this is a serious government. I have trust, I have confidence in this government, I have confidence in this country. Now, it's not coincidence that the same President Ruto took this decision. He went to Germany exactly at the same moment. Protests are rising in all Kenya, okay? And specifically in Kibera, but in general in Kenya, rising protests. And this is not a coincidence. This is something like we live it also in Ethiopia. And we can say it's not orchestrated by people inside. It's something from outside. We know some people is not agreed to watch African countries rise up. Now, if you are an African grower, if you are an African entrepreneur, this is a huge opportunity to you, because when you watch a strong country, when we watch your country is getting more strong, more power in the economical field, in the political field, what will going to happen is a lot of opportunities come to you, okay? So you need to be prepared. You need to watch the tendency. You need to be prepared as an entrepreneur to watch tendencies, to start your business, to adapt your business, to bring the real solutions Africa needs. And I will tell you again and again, what kind of Africa we want. This is really important to have in mind. What kind of Africa we want. Because if we cannot adopt solutions from Western countries, we need to adapt. And I will tell you always, okay, we cannot adopt, because if we adopt Western solutions, we are going to adopt also their problems. The new narrative is for African problems, we need African solutions. That's all. You are an African entrepreneur. You understand your people. You understand your market. Bring solutions to that people. Bring solutions to your country, to society. Your role as an entrepreneur, your role as African gold grower in society is to watch the needs, to create prototypes, to understand, to find the perfect product or service for society to solve that need. And once you have the right product or the right service, you can escalate. Once you start escalating, you adapt again, you escalate, you adapt again, you escalate, you adapt again, you escalate. This is the way how you are going to grow. You don't have to wait to have the perfect product or the perfect service. You need to have one that is enough to start, okay? And this is your role in society. You are like a scientific. You are like a enthusiastic scientific in society, because you are going to watch a need and you are going to bring a solutions and you are going to test. Once you test, you learn, you adapt, you improve, and you bring again to society, and you bring again to society. And this is how your business is going to grow. Now, because you are bringing solutions, for example, in Kenya, people is demanding cheaper flour. okay, cheaper food in general, okay. How can we produce more food in Kenya, okay? Because if we produce more food in more efficient way, we can reduce the costs, we can face the inflation. What alternatives we have? We need to think with creativity. No matter the size of your value proposition, no matter the size of your business, you are bringing big solutions to society when you bring these innovations. And with the time, you can grow and grow and grow and grow. There is a proverb in Ethiopia that says, even egg, little by little, will walk. So you need to have patience. And it's another one in Swahili that I love. I learned it, that said, haraka haraka haima baraka. And translated to English, said, worry, or when you are busy, or when you do the things busy, don't bring you blessings. It means, again, you need to have patience. Okay? So this is my perspective from this interview. This is my perspective from the new narrative in Africa, African gold growers. We need to understand we're building the Africa we dream with. We already have an amazing Africa. We already have an amazing continent. This is why we are returning, or this is why we're living here, or this is why we decided to stay here, because we have an amazing culture. But certain things are missing. For example, health system. For example, we need to face poverty. We need to face educational system, but we cannot copy to another ones because another one failed. Even the economical system is failing in other countries. We need to create our own solutions because only we understand our cultures. And this is the role you have as an African gold grower. Find the solutions and bring to the market. No matter the size, again, as the key of success in Africa, and I learned this from Dr. Harnett, my mentor, is start small, dreaming big. Start small, dreaming big. This is the secret to start successful business in Africa. Start small, dreaming big. That's all for today, African gold growers. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, tell us in the comments what other kind of content do you want to see in this channel. Tell us if you like or if you don't like the video, tell us why. And well, see you in the next video, African gold growers. And remember, we grow gold in Africa. Bye-bye.